Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, January 18th. A lot to talk about this morning. We have a complex and significant winter storm headed to the mid-Atlantic region. It could produce anything from heavy rain to heavy snow to sleet and freezing rain, depending on your exact location and what time of the weekend you're talking about. I believe there'll be a quick thumping of accumulating snow north of the Mason-Dixon line later tomorrow into early tomorrow night. Could produce as much as 2 to 5 inches in the Philadelphia metro region, 3 to 6 inches in New York City, those higher amounts to the north and west of the metro regions. Could even be some heavy rain tomorrow night in parts of the mid-Atlantic region. Certainly D.C. area can have some heavy rainfall tomorrow night. Even in Philadelphia there can be some significant rainfall tomorrow night. But north of the Mason-Dixon line and even in the far northern western suburbs of D.C., it's going to be a struggle to get above freezing. I don't think New York City will get above freezing during this entire event, and that could lead to significant ice and snowfall up in that region. This is the same storm that has been pounding the western U.S. California has had incredible snowfall amounts in the Sierra Nevadas, up to 80 inches already reported, perhaps on the way to 100 inches. This is the latest radar loop. We had a light snow event overnight in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City metro regions. The snow is just now ending across New York City here. As we see, this will slowly pull out to the north and east. There will actually be increasing sunshine today in the big cities in the I-95 corridor and slightly milder conditions this afternoon at 40-plus degrees for highs in D.C., Philly, and New York City. Overnight snowfall anywhere from a coating to an inch or two for the most part up and down the I-95 corridor region. Meanwhile, out in the center of the nation and the western U.S., continuation of getting pounded. There have been storm after storm affecting California, for example, over the last week. Low pressure pulls out of the west and drops into the Tennessee Valley by early Saturday. Well, let's walk through last night's zero-Z NAM model run. This is a 12-kilometer version of the NAM. The NAM is a higher resolution model as compared to, for example, the GFS, which is a global type of model. And I believe the NAM has a better handle on low-level cold air. The GFS tends to erode low-level cold air too quickly in scenarios like this. And I like to resort to the higher resolution model like the NAM within 48 hours of the event. Again, I think it has a little better handle on that cold air. This, in some ways, reminds me of the November snowstorm that had some very cold air in place, and it looked like it might erode away to prevent significant snow, but it was very reluctant to erode away during that particular snowstorm. Ended up with 6+ inches of snow from the suburbs of Philadelphia to New York City, and in some ways this reminds me of that particular snow event. North of the Mason-Dixon line tomorrow it'll be quite cold, and again the cold air will be very slow to retreat to the north. That will allow for a quick thumping of snow, let's say from Philly to New York City, and certainly to areas north and west of those two big cities. Here we are starting off the morning, Friday morning, residual snow from a relatively minor event in the overnight hours. Again, maybe a coating to an inch or two in the D.C. to New York City corridor. Let's move forward here in hourly increments at first here. Again, this is using the higher resolution NAM model. Now by tonight, we'll actually have some colder air, a little bit drier air moving in to the northeast, kind of a fresh batch of cold air, and that's kind of important for the setup for tomorrow afternoon. Then by early tomorrow morning, and here we are by 12Z tomorrow, 7 a.m. tomorrow, low pressure that dropped out of the west, south, and east into the Mississippi Valley, western part of Tennessee by early tomorrow. Snow on the north side, rain closer to the center of the low. Let's move forward here, and it looks like snow or a wintry mix is likely to break out in the D.C. metro region south of the Mason-Dixon line during the early to mid-afternoon hours. And then snow arrives in Philadelphia, New York City, mid to late afternoon hours. And that particular time right here, early Saturday night, is when it could be really snowing quite hard north of the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. Places like Philadelphia, Lancaster, Harrisburg, very well could see some significant snow late tomorrow afternoon, early tomorrow night. Again, I'm expecting perhaps 2 to as much as 5 inches in the Philly metro region in this initial outburst of snow. And south of the Mason-Dixon line, only minor accumulations expected. That snow or a wintry mix in D.C., for example, at the onset, maybe coating to an inch or two before it transitions to rain, 3 to 6 inches in the New York City metro region. At this same time, this is the early part, 7 p.m. on a Saturday evening. We have a tremendous upward motion going on in the upper part of the atmosphere. In fact, let me show you a map at the same exact time, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. And here we go. This is 7 p.m. tomorrow night, a map of what we call frontogenesis. It's basically in the lower or middle part of the atmosphere, and all this purple shows what generally leads a frontogenesis type of pattern that generally can lead to upward motion. And this is right over the Mason-Dixon line come early tomorrow night. And again, I think that could contribute to some heavy rainfall south of the Mason-Dixon line and heavy snowfall north of the Mason-Dixon line at this particular time. Again, for the snow, Philadelphia, New York City, we're talking late afternoon, early evening. At the onset of the snow in the early to mid-afternoon hours in D.C., it just lasts for a little while, snow and a wintry mix, before changing to rain by late in the afternoon. Well, let's return back to the surface maps from last night's NAM model run, and let's push forward here. Here we are, a little bit of transition to sleet and freezing rain in southern Pennsylvania, from the snow to ultimately rain by tomorrow night. And again, there can be some icing with this particular storm, especially to the north and west of the big cities. Even in the far northern western suburbs of D.C., there can be some icing during this event tomorrow night. Struggle to climb above freezing throughout this event. Cold air is dense air, and it's going to have a tough time eroding away. By the way, in areas from upstate Pennsylvania, let's say northern Pennsylvania, all the way through the interior of New England, this could be an all-snow event, perhaps ending up with 1 to 2 feet in that particular zone from Saturday into late Sunday. Let's keep moving forward here. Here we go, low pressure again on its way across West Virginia, right over the D.C. area, or perhaps northern Maryland, on its way to Long Island. Come early Sunday morning, the storm will be just to the east of the I-95 corridor region, and colder air will start to flood the region on the backside of the storm. Let's now go ahead. This is 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Low pressure near Long Island. Remember, it started Saturday morning near western Tennessee, so it takes this track, heads by Sunday morning to near Long Island. This is when the colder air will start to flood the region. This is a Arctic outbreak, coldest air of the season so far, and that transition on Sunday morning could go from rain or a wintry mix all the way back to snow. Minor accumulations, additional accumulations possible on Sunday morning during that transition. Again, it could end as snow even in the D.C. metro region. And let's move forward here a few hours. Very cold air, increasing north to northwest winds during the midday and afternoon hours on Sunday. Temperatures will plunge. Any remaining wet surfaces or slushy surfaces during the morning and midday hours of Sunday will freeze solid by Sunday night, and certainly by Monday morning they'll just be frozen ice. And any shoveling should take place during the maybe early afternoon hours on Sunday before all of that freezes solid. Now let's move forward here. By later afternoon and early evening Sunday, very, very cold air, the coldest air of the season so far. We could have wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour or so late Sunday, Sunday night going into Monday. That's certainly worrisome, because there can be some trees that first get wet and then get some snow cover. They could be weighed down. Certainly can be some trees and branches with some ice on the branches and the limbs. That could lead to some potential power outages late Sunday, Sunday night into Monday. Notice also here, I wanted to point out, this is 7 p.m. Sunday, brutal cold air pouring into the Mid-Atlantic region. Notice the isobar pattern right here. Winds generally flow parallel to these isobars, so The air will be coming from this part of Canada into the Mid-Atlantic region for a while. That really is a direction, maybe north to north-northeast, that could bring in the coldest air into the Mid-Atlantic regions. Usually it comes from the northwest, and that flows over the Great Lakes, which are still not completely frozen, so it tends to modify the air mass. This is interior from land region of southeastern Canada, and it could end up resulting in temperatures down near zero in many parts of the I-95 corridor region come early Monday morning. Let's push ahead here into the night, Sunday night, and early Monday morning. Here we are by early Monday morning. Strong Arctic high over southeastern Canada. Just a brutal cold morning here. Again, especially those areas that get a fresh snowpack, very likely falls to 0 to 5 degrees above, let's say the suburbs of Philadelphia, all the way up across interior New Jersey to the New York City metro region. Monday itself remains brutally cold. High temperatures will struggle to climb through the teens in most of the I-95 corridor region, perhaps touching out at 20 degrees in D.C., but staying certainly in the teens, it looks like, in Philly and New York City. And this is the final map I'd like to show, again, from the Zero-Z NAM run. Low temperatures Monday morning. Don't see this too often. Again, I believe it could be 0 to 5 degrees in some of the suburbs of Philadelphia, New York City, all the way down to D.C. Expect single digits. Those places that receive a good fresh snowpack more likely to drop down to 0, maybe 3-4 degrees for overnight lows come Monday morning easily. The coldest day of the year so far comes on Monday again. Temperatures in the afternoon struggling to climb through the teens in the I-95 corridor region. So a lot going on. There'll be another storm by the middle part of next week. Again, it looks like it could be a mixed bag. By the way, those areas that don't receive snow this time, those frustrated snow lovers, there's a good chance of something significant coming in about 10 days or so, with a lot of brutal cold air coming our way for the latter part of January, maybe 28th, 29th of January, and some signs that there could be a significant storm right around that time period as well. So a lot to come over the next few weeks, but for this weekend, a significant winter storm hits the Mid-Atlantic region. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.